How is Noodle going to be the one responsible for saving the band, saving the world, and killing the Forever Cult? Let's dig in. Hello readers and digital people, and welcome back to GP Reads. I am your host, Grant Reads. As the title and thumbnail of this video hints, I strongly believe that Noodle is going to play a major role in what is going to occur in the prophecy. Not only will she be responsible for saving the band members from certain death, but she will take down the Forever Cult in one fatal swing. Before we begin this path, let's take a step back and look at what first sparked this idea. The comments here on GP Reads. That's where the path began, but what I uncovered from official Gorillaz lore sparked a very interesting theory. To get things started, let's hand things off to my mad scientist doppelganger.
Hello Gorillaz fans. Let's hear what you all had to say, starting with Dracana, who says, I just noticed one remarkable detail in the video. All the Gorillaz wear pink clothes, and 2D's is blue. Although before that, he also wore pink. The Forever Cult's robes are blue, so they really tried to lure 2D to them, didn't they? I have to agree with you there. We can also see that within 2D's mind, during this scene, where Thundercat is relentlessly shouting Forever Cult at him, that the background is blue. This would suggest that their direct involvement in whatever is going on with 2D. The next comment comes from Sunny, and it reads, I keep seeing some theories about 2D being the one who is going to be sacrificed, or at least they are going to try to sacrifice him. Honestly, the hints given, such as how he's seen as the chosen one, and is drawn as, and often referred to as, the Lamb. I think that theory stands well, given that we know for sure that the Forever Cult has taken interest in 2D, and again, seeing his state after interacting with them. But if he was to be the sacrifice, why is he alive now? We'll be getting into that in a moment. Dracana also writes, I have more ideas why the Forever Cult would need 2D. Maybe Murdoc made his own cult to get Moonflower's attention. Something like, hey look, I also have a cult, and I'm also the leader. You see, we have so much in common. But he did not take into account different cults have a tendency to compete with each other, because each one of them wants to expand their sphere of influence. It can be seen that the Forever Cult is larger and more influential, but even a small sect can potentially take away from their significance, especially when it is literally next door. Therefore, it is more profitable if the Forever Cult got rid of this in the bud. If Murdoc really chose 2D to carry out some rituals, then it is logical to deprive his cult of their victim and ruin their plans. Well, that actually ties in quite well with what I surmised about the Forever Cult. Murdoc is desperate to make the prophecy come true, so that he can be with his beloved Moonflower, and in said prophecy, 2D was the chosen one, and so Murdoc chose him. But I do not believe 2D was chosen by Murdoc in the prophecy, as he surmised, but instead by the Forever Cult, for his innocent blood to be shed during the ritual. The lamb to the slaughter. In Murdoc choosing 2D, however, as you stated, this could very well be why the Forever Cult did choose 2D for their innocent blood sacrifice. User Pazuzu says, am I the only one who doesn't think that Murdoc is actually falling in love, and didn't start the cult to find a partner? I think he's possessed, / was given a love potion. Also, after the podcast where 2D said, Murdoc found the one, Murdoc replied on Twitter saying, I am the one. Me. And he denied liking the woman next door. I actually don't think you are far from the truth. As we said a few videos back, Murdoc is not one for falling for anyone but himself. And now he is smiling, and in love, and starting a cult to impress a woman? That doesn't seem right, does it? I believe that something like you suggested is definitely at play here, and I will be discussing that next video. Alright, one more comment, and this is where our rabbit hole truly begins. Marta Kolakowska states, I have an observation to add. Well, an observation and a question. So, first, there's one TikTok out there where 2D uses a filter that tells you the first letter of the name of your future spouse, and it gives 2D the letter P, which 2D quickly links back to Paula Cracker. More confirmation that Paula is indeed involved in this era. We talked about that a bit more here. But what if it's actually a reference to Pazuzu? What if 2D is prophesied to marry Pazuzu? Marry, become one with, Sounds to me like he was chosen as Pazuzu's vessel. What exactly was Murdoc's deal made with Pazuzu all those years ago? While this is an interesting path that we will definitely be diving into next video, what hit me here is that Gorillaz had a TikTok that might have more information that we'd missed. And missed we had. Okay, after combing through all of the TikTok videos, these seem to stand out as important. First things first. This more or less confirms that the song Baby Queen can double as a song speaking about how Noodle had grown up with them. I do wonder if the perspective is Murdoc's. We know that Noodle means a lot to him, so much so that he had his bodyguard built to look like her during the Plastic Beach era, though he also needed a guitarist, so could have simply been to replace her in all aspects, but I still believe he sees her as a daughter in some sort of way. The fact that this grow-up video of Murdoc matches with hers strengthens my suspicions. It was so long ago. You need to get over it. What does she mean by this? Is it referring to the Baby Queen thing? Or Murdoc / the band's view of her? Maybe it's talking about the world at large, still seeing her as a child. I don't know for sure. I'll never be able to do what I really want. What? Love? I feel like this was referring to him being manipulated into starting the cult, for some reason. Deep down, does Murdoc know that this is all a farce? His heart not able to truly love, but instead, being manipulated to do so by Moonflower. More on that in a bit. This video here is more confirmation on the titles given to the band members. Russell, the Seeker of Truth. Murdoc, the Great Leader. Noodle, the Scholar. 2D, the Chosen One. We'll be going over Russell's prophecy board in a later video. Alright, now notice the colors in this advert. Russell is pink, like the last cult. Murdoc is green, of course. Noodle is red. And 2D is blue. The blue makes me think back to 2D being the chosen one for the Forever cult. His reaction is different from the others too. Much more intense.
Oh, what a legend. See, essentially, a small ghost rapper trapped inside a giant ghost rapper's body. And both of them were trapped inside Russell's body.
Remember this for later. The culture image is important. We'll talk more about that in the next video as well. Okay, now given full context from all of the Gorillaz social media posts so far that we know of, correct me if I'm wrong, we can piece together what might happen that will lead up to the prophecy. Again, this is just a theory, so I would love to hear your interpretation of all of the given information in the comments. It all starts when Murdoc is changed by the bathwater in the spirit house. Note the grin. And his lovesickness begins. Think of the water as a love potion itself. His heart is open, and he can feel. He can cry. Murdoc is then sent a vision of where his true love lies. He sees himself as a cult leader, and he kisses his love in the vision, as seen in the Cracker Island music video. He hears the mention of Silver Lake from the lyrics in the prophecy, and moves the band there to find his love interest. The house next door is conveniently vacant, and the band quickly moves in. Murdoc begins forming his cult, making 2D his chosen lamb, as seen in his vision. The Forever Cult invites 2D over for a cup of tea, and begins preparations for his role as the sacrifice to summon their deity, which I believe is Pazuzu, who has been playing the long game with Murdoc. Murdoc desperately seeks for a way to make the vision come true sooner, as his lovesickness grows. And he becomes jealous of 2D visiting and talking with Moonflower, the high priestess of the Forever Cult, and his prophesied lover. Noodle was skeptical of Murdoc's plan and intentions from the start, as seen here, and begins a scheme of her own. She would seemingly go along with Murdoc's plan, but in secret, work on a backup plan in case things went sour. Sometime between when the prophecy comes true and when this image was taken, Noodle had contacted Paula Cracker. Yes, Paula Cracker. Paula's first breakthrough was to invent and patent seagull-repellent chips, solving an age-old problem for British seaside goers. She funneled the profits into pioneering AI startup, and in a bizarre twist of fate, an AI chip designed by Paula's tech company ended up in the motherboard of Cyborg Noodle. Life is weird sometimes. Paula designs AI chips for cyborgs. Perhaps her company even designs the cyborgs themselves. Cyborgs capable of mimicking human beings, all the way down to body fluids. Noodle either overheard them talking about the ritual, or somehow discovered that 2D is to be sacrificed to summon Pazuzu, possibly from Russell's spiritual quests to find answers. There wasn't time to make a replica of 2D, so she had them send this one instead. Possibly a body double that Paula had made for herself, for when she can't make it to certain social events, that is switched out during the ritual, giving it up for sacrifice, wearing the Pazuzu sacrificial mask that she discovered in her book, to cloak the fact that it isn't really 2D. Pazuzu is described as a deity of famine and destruction. His coming would likely spell the end of the world, and this was another reason that Noodle had to stop the cult. She would have found this out from her occult studies as well. In one foul swoop, she could both save her friend and stop the ritual, which required a live sacrifice. Emphasis on live. The ritual backfires due to the sacrifice not being a true living being, as Noodle had intended, and instead, the portal created devours the members of the Forever Cult in its place. The Paulabot's AI mind, not the body, since it wasn't a flesh and blood being, the mask and those participating in the ritual are sucked into another dimension, and Pazuzu is brought over to our side in exchange, where the botched ritual forces him into 2 vessels instead of 1. One finding and possessing Russell, and the other latching to 2D. They are still in control, for now, since the ritual was botched, but Pazuzu is still within them. The damaged cyborg's body is brought to the hospital by the police, along with the band members. We see Noodle informing the company, and maybe even Paula herself, about how the plan went, and how she was able to save the band and stop the cult by using the substitute, though with unforeseen consequences. The cyborg's awareness was trapped within the other realm, but it is able to peer through the static and briefly appear in our world. Who's to say what will happen there? That is when Murdoc arrives and revives the now empty cyborg shell, channeling the power of Pazuzu that is within 2D and Russell, as we know that Pazuzu can do, such as when he revived Murdoc before and gave him immortality. The Paulabot's bloodied and injured body snaps back to life and floats over to Murdoc, now filled with the spirit of Moonflower, which he had somehow rescued from the other side using the power of Pazuzu. Her visage is then returned to her, the fated kiss taking place. Moonflower's plans and ritual were a success. The many strategies of Pazuzu were a success. The ritual did not go as expected, but it went as it was planned by Pazuzu. The visions and love potion given to Murdoc by the Bath had brought the demon into our world. So in the end, Noodle did save everyone, for now, but she also, unintentionally, killed everyone in the Forever Cult.
What do you think of this current version of things? Do you think I got it right? I still have one more video that goes into more of the current Gorillaz lore, and how that ties everything back into the early days of Gorillaz, and I mean the very, very early days. And after that, I would like to dive further into Rise of the Ogre and the rest of the Gorillaz lore, from Plastic Beach era and other things. There's a lot of other Gorilla material to be discussed, believe me. But until then, keep your eyes wide open, and never stop reading. I'll see you all. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my patrons and channel members. Thanks to you, I'm able to do what I love. CNK114, Investigator Zeus, Dobby's Music, Jera Mullins, Free Spirit Katie, MC Darfer, Vexus, Agnieszka, Granny Monster, Nightmare Luna, Archer, Roxy, and Lily Ardat. Really, thank you so much for everything you do. It means the world to me.